Okay. And it's officially time according to Apple time. All right, so welcome. We are gonna keep going, the Yoga Sutras. And today we're gonna do Sutras 112, 113, and 114. So I'm just gonna start by reading what they are in English. Sutra 112 says, these mental modifications are restrained by practice and non-attachment. So we've been working with the ways that the mind works, the modifications that come up. And what Patanjali says now is, now that we know what they are, the way to restrain them is by practice, one, or non-attachment. So he continues in Sutras 13 and 14 to talk about practice. In Sutra 113, he says, of these two, effort towards steadiness of mind is practice. Effort towards steadiness of mind is practice. So there's two ways to get there: practice and non-attachment. Steadiness of mind is the practice. And then he says in Sutra 114, this may be good or bad news. Practice becomes firmly grounded when well attended to for a long time, without break, and in all earnestness. So we need to practice steadiness of mind for a long time, is basically what he's saying. Not only for a long time, but without break. What does that mean? And then he also says, in all earnestness. So let's actually have a little conversation about this. What do you think he means when he says for a long time without break? What does that mean to you in hearing those words? Mary.
I think it may mean that you have to sort of have a commitment, that it's part of your routine as opposed to an add-on. And I'm sorry, I'm going to take breaks because sometimes I'm on vacation and can't do all the things, but I think it has to be a commitment, and I think that probably humans will drift and then come back because it's in our nature to not stay on the path.
Anybody else? Let's talk about earnestness. I actually looked this word up in the dictionary this morning. I was like, what does it actually mean? Earnestness. What do you think that means, somebody?
Earnestness is something that you do with all your intention. Put all of your everything behind it.
Yeah, so it's got your intention behind it. Earnestness. But, the translator here, Swami Satchidananda, says on page 20, I'll start with the metaphor he uses. He says, so let us not be like little children who sow a seed today and dig it up tomorrow to see how much the root went down. We need all these three qualities, and he calls them patience, devotion, and faith. So earnestness and faith being related. When I read that, I was like, well, I guess to be earnest, we have to believe it's going to work. Right? There's like something behind earnestness that says it's worth it. And I think for me, the word faith actually resonates a lot because it's not like I know through empirical evidence that meditation and practice of yoga, physical or mental practice of yoga, will exactly give me a certain thing. There's certainly a lot of science now that's trying to prove how these things work, but it doesn't actually tell us what it's going to do specifically. Right? Like we can listen to and read about the science of meditation and see that it changes the brain. But do we actually know exactly what it's doing? Well, it's changing our brain. It's building strength in the parts of our brain that create certain ways of being. But like, what is it going to be? And I think there's a little bit of a leap of faith into like, well, what exactly are we going to get from this? And that's why I like to study these things. Like, well, what are the results and how do I get there? How do I get to sukha, ease? As we see Sukha, Mary's dog is named Sukha, which I love. Any before we actually do the practice, any thoughts on earnestness, faith, how it fits into a practice of something like meditation?
I do, if I can get this sukha off of me here. I think it's the difference between when I had to clean my room because my mom said I needed to before I could go and do something, where you just sort of like shove everything under things so that it looks like it's clean, but it isn't. Whereas earnestness is, okay, I want to reorganize things. I want things to be so that I can access what I need and not and get rid of other stuff, get rid of the clutter. So, I mean, so I was not doing those things in earnestness when my mom told me to. So I think earnestness has more of a purpose a method to your madness, as it were.
Right, there's a good reason underneath it that you see benefit from.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's not just lip service.
Yes, that's the phrase I was looking for.
Yeah, really, that's a really good analogy. I like that. And I will also offer that I've been doing this long enough that I feel like I see it working. I think I'm different than I was before I practiced meditation. And I can't necessarily say there's like one moment where I've been like, wow, like today I woke up and I feel different, but I'm definitely more patient. I strive to be a better listener. I like to be still in a way that I used to be uncomfortable. I kind of look forward to it. So whatever your version of that is, I hope that there's some fruits of your practice already visible and kind of tangible. And I know there's more out there, and that's what keeps me out there every morning, or out in here every morning doing the practice. Any other last ideas or questions? Okay, let's do a practice, hopefully in earnestness. And we'll do it without break today. So this is hard for me as a teacher. I'm gonna invite us into it. And I'm gonna invite you, especially since everybody that's on here today, if you're on Zoom and you're watching this later, I don't know who you are, but if you're here with me today, I do know that you've got a strong practice. So I'm gonna do as little or minimal interruption today as we practice. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna invite you to create a posture that's supportive of your practice. So sitting where you are, as you are, getting grounded. If your eyes are still open and you like to close them for your practice, go ahead and close your eyes. I have my left palm face up in my right palm today, and my thumbs are touching. Do something on purpose with your hands. create your posture so that there's alertness and some ease. My invitation is to anchor into your breath. If you have another existing practice of mindfulness, please use the practice that works best for you. Bring some earnestness into your practice today. So intention rather than lip service. Intention to be in your practice. start to breathe a little bit more deeply. At least one more kind of big breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Time flies when you're having fun. So as I was practicing, a couple of little insights I'll share. One was, we use this metaphor sometimes of like meditation being like brushing your teeth. And it's a lot like what Mary was talking about earlier. I brush my teeth twice a day, sometimes more, but at least twice a day when I get up and before I go to sleep. And I do that in all earnestness. Like I don't do it because I'm afraid of my teeth falling out. I do it because I like the feeling of having clean teeth. And I also like knowing that, in the future, I'll probably keep my teeth if I do that. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about losing my teeth, but, it's just something that I do because I like how it makes me feel. And I feel like it's the same thing with my meditation practice. I like how I feel better when I do it than when I don't. And I've gotten to that place in my practice where I notice a difference. And so I'm really not doing it out of, either my parents are telling me I have to do it because I'm a child, or, I'm afraid of, getting mental cavities. I really like how I feel better when I do it. And those days when I don't and my teeth are fuzzy, it's not as pleasant. So I know that's not very deep, but that's what showed up for me this morning. Does anybody else have any share, insight?
I like that analogy. And I find that I do better if I do a meditation in the morning. It kind of carries me, it gets me through the day very nicely. So I like to do my meditation, and I find that I do better if I do meditation in the morning. Of course, it also may be that I, find other things to do. If I don't do it first thing, it falls off the list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I kind of have for the most part, a like structured time when I brush my teeth too. I don't just like randomly be like, oh, at some point this morning I'll brush my teeth. And I think some of that structure in our life makes a difference. Like the discipline and the rigor of like, I'm going to do this thing because I know it makes me good. And I think there's this excellent middle place, because if we think about like without break for a long time, there's a part of that says to me, there are times where I feel mindfulness in my whole day. Like I'm constantly aware of what's happening. And other days where I'm just doing without awareness. And I feel better in the times of more awareness in my day. And I think there's a goal for that constant awareness. But maybe this isn't the time in my life for that. Maybe there's some other things going on. So the without break thing, I guess where I'm going with this comment is, I think there's a good middle place in this for us as householders and people that live in the world. We're not monks that can sit down for 12 hours a day unless we're on retreat, and meditate without a break for 12 hours a day. So don't beat yourself up if you're thinking without a break means you're not doing enough. Does that make sense? Yeah, and if you miss a day or two, just start again. Because that happens. All right. Well, I'm grateful that you're willing to do this work with me. Better than talking to an empty room. It's nice to have somebody on the path with me. I hope you have a wonderful day, full of awareness.